subject that I've been very interested in for several years. Actually, when it first started chit chatting about it, it was back probably in the late '80s, early '90s that I saw something. I don't remember what show it was. It was probably like a 60 Minutes or a I don't remember all the different shows back then, but like talk show type thing more than there were not really a paranormal thing because we don't really know if it's paranormal or not. But
Hmm.
and what that is transplanted, basically like transplanted consciousness. So like a person that needs an organ transplant receives their heart, lung, kidney, liver, etc. from a donor, and upon waking up there's changes in that person. Not all of these are physiological changes. Some of the things that happen to these people can be attributed and often are by their surgeons as the physiological changes that come with an organ transplant. Some of them are also mental. So, like, there's a little bit of PTSD, I feel, that might come into play with people that receive transplanted organs because someone had to die to get you your life. Okay. That's a lot to take on for anyone. You don't really think about that part of it, but that's a pretty big part too. So I'm
Hmm.
not sitting here saying the things that I've researched are 100% paranormal. I think they are personally, but I have to listen to science too. And there is a part of this that's very scientific, and I am not a scientific kind of gal. So the research that I have done, I've had to get help on some of it from people that are. So I'm not sure how to start the whole thing. I think I'll start like I did in Ohio when I did the talk. Um, Over the course of years and a lot of these studies, doctors have are starting to think, and this is not all doctors, of course, but there's a family of them that believe that, everybody thinks of your brain as being strictly in your head, right? This is where your brain is. That's what controls everything. And what they're starting to discover is not only they think that there are brains in a lot of different parts of us, different type of brain, but it's all connected to the big mother brain up here, but it has separate brains. So like a heart has its own brain, okay?
Hmm.
Your skin has its own brain. Your liver, your kidney, all of it has its own special way of thinking or remembering certain things, which communicates to the big brain, etc.
Hmm.
Which it can explain part of this, but there's other cases, and there's cases of people, and there's thousands of them, thousands of them. Like one of the first ones is one I'll talk about. It's a woman named Claire Sylvia who received a heart transplant, or was heart and lung back in 1988, and she, um, I believe, had like more of a congenital heart issue. I can't remember what the problem was that caused this for her, but she had been a professional dancer and stuff, so she was in good shape. It just didn't. Her heart gave out on her, so she ended up getting a transplant, um, and woke up a different person, so to speak. For quite a while, she started craving beer, which she never drank. She started
Hmm.
craving green peppers, which she didn't like before the transplant. All of a sudden, she wanted green peppers. She wanted chicken nuggets. She never ate chicken nuggets. By the way, you'll find as I tell a few of these stories is a theme. So eat them all now while you can, because there's a lot of people that crave those when they have this issue. But anyway,
Interesting.
um, she never ate junk food. I mean, she was a dancer. That's not what you eat as a dancer. But there were other stranger things. Like her friends started to notice that her gait had changed. So the way she walked was not the way Claire walked before the surgery. Now, obviously, having a heart and lung transplant is a pretty darn big surgery, but it's not going to necessarily affect the way you walk. It might affect the way you carry your upper body more, just
Mhm.
psychologically, if no other reason, but really not the way you actually walk, right? So they're
Right.
like, "Why are you walking like that?" She's like what?" Like she had no idea that she was displaying this. And as her friends described it, it was a very masculine walk, very kind of lumbering, like, moving along down the street kind of thing. And she had a dream. During all of this was happening at the same time. So she has this dream, and she's at a family reunion or a gathering of some sort, and there's a young man standing across from her, and they looked at each other and they walked up to each other and had a conversation. I can't quite remember, it wasn't anything too earth shattering, but they had this conversation, and he said, "My name is Tim." And he went in and he kissed her, but it wasn't like a romantic kiss. So it wasn't like, because he was a young man and she was not a young woman. Um, Not that that matters anymore.
Hmm.
But
That's interesting.
but he leaned in to kiss her, and during this kiss, it was more like I am you. We're connected. And that's how
Oh,
she
wow.
took this. So when she woke up, she knew that was her donor. She knew it. Now you got to remember, you don't know who your donor is. That is completely off the table. They might tell you small details, but usually not. It's no. And that's to protect the family of the one who's lost, obviously, respect the person that gave you life. And also psychologically, they don't want you to know too much, especially early on. Because like I said, there's lots of changes happening in those early stages with transplant. Um, that gives you like guilt complex, or like I said, like a PTSD type situation. So she doesn't know anything about this person, but she knew at that time. And I believe her doctor, I think she said something to her doctor, and her doctor, of course, was like, "Well, you're on all these anti rejection drugs." True. Okay. You've had this big life changing thing. True. Which could cause these weird dreams. Also true. But she knew that this was her donor.
Hmm.
So as time goes on, she also starts noticing she's like has become very attracted to blonde women. Now she's a straight female. Not like there's anything wrong with being attracted to blonde females as a female, but that wasn't her before.
Right.
So I think a few years go by or something, and she's able the you can write to the donor family, and there can be a meeting arranged through the organ transplant coordinators. That's how this works. It's very, you got to go through hoops, right? You don't just pick up a phone and call somebody, right? And they agreed, and his name was Timothy. I believe he died in a motorcycle. There was something with a motorcycle accident. Um, he drank beer. He loved green peppers. She verified all of this with his sister, and he was very attracted to blonde women.
Wow.
So after she got this confirmation, and you know she wasn't nuts with it, a lot of that started falling away for her. So all of these cravings and stuff like that started to like diminish somewhat, but she still believed. She lived another 22 years after that transplant. She believed till the end he was still a part of her because of that dream that she had had. This is the kind of stuff I'm talking about. Now that's one of the better documented cases of organ transplant memory, because it is so astounding in its own ways.
It is.
There's lots of documentation on it, and that sort of thing. There are several others. There was another guy named Kevin Marshford who
Hey, hey,
had
Dana.
horrible health problems his entire life. He had multiple problems with all sorts of different diseases, and it ended up in like multiple organ failures at different times. He'd finally got a heart transplant, and woke up from that. And for some reason, because he was never able to do much, right, his whole life because he was sick, woke up from this transplant. It did wonders for him. He started training on a cycle, like to be a cyclist. Like within, I don't know, it wasn't very long after this transplant. Started like really, and he like eventually years went by. He eventually was doing professional racing or like semi-professional like cyclist stuff. Well, guess what his organ donor was a
Cyclist.
professional cyclist.
Hmm. Yeah.
This stuff that you can't
Yeah.
explain that away as drugs or anything like that. That is a memory
Right.
of somebody else that has
You know,
influenced you enough that you have become them in a certain way.
I find
That
that
is
so
really,
intriguing, Dana,
it's
that
crazy. There's so many cool cases out there. And I have met a few cool cases because I know people that have had it. What I didn't mention at the beginning, and I myself was on and off of transplant twice for kidney failure. So I know the psychological stuff that starts with you even before you get a transplant. My ex husband had a transplant. He had unfortunately passed a little less than a year after he received it, but it gave him that much more time with my son. Um, I don't believe he had anything like this going on, but I didn't really get to talk to him about it too much. But it's just like super interesting to me. And as it goes on, as I tell you toward the end, if you guys want to interject at any time. I'm trying to tell you as much as I can in an hour. That's why I'm
now, now, Dana, can you
um
hear me?
yeah,
Dana, can you hear me? Oh, okay.
yep, I
You
can
know, I
hear you.
had a question. I did have a question because when
Yeah,
you were talking about the first story and everything, you were talking about the brain, that these different organs and everything are like part of a brain.
yep.
It's when you were saying that, I'm thinking, is that kind of like the same as energy? You know how when spirit is sometimes is energy and the energy of that person exists, is it kind of the same? I mean, is it energy or
I would think so. And like, all three of us are our
right,
own, we're more of a metaphysical, spiritual, paranormal mind because that's what we do, right?
right.
Um, I find it really interesting, and yes, Kathy, that would be energy because they're what those organs are doing. They're thinking on their own, technically. Okay,
That's so
that's
cool.
what there's a scientist, and I wish I would have found the case because I would have read it to you. And I found this after I got back from Ohio, by the way. So it's on.
Hmm.
I'm adding it to the big list, but I think he was over in like Norway or Denmark, those countries, actually found an area of the heart that acts like a brain. Now the heart brain connection is a lot stronger than like the kidney brain connection. So when people say, they're heartbroken, there's a tie-in with that as well. That's a whole different subject, but you understand what I'm
Hmm.
saying. There's a big
Yeah.
connection with the heart and the brain. So it doesn't surprise me that the heart, like if you can't forget somebody, they're in your heart. They probably
Hmm.
are. The memory of them is literally in the heart as well as your brain, which is why it's so hard to let go of things. That is energy, though. So if
Interesting.
you're like as a Reiki person, you're looking. Kathy's a Reiki person. If you're, I
Hmm.
don't. Are you Reiki as well, Melissa? You
Mhm.
She's
Reiki? Okay, so we have.
shaman. Hmm.
Ooh,
Yeah, Reiki, shaman,
Yep.
IET. Stupid
all
long
those
list.
cool things. So yeah, I mean, yes, I am
Yes.
not either of those things, but I see energy on people. So when I do my readings, I see like what looks like a flashlight behind a hand, which is that energy or inflammation or whatever it is I'm seeing. And so working with Kathy before, that's where Kathy and Christina would go to clear that energy out. So that, yes, yes, Kathy.
Yeah, and with
Insane.
Dana saying that, I know I had a little bit of video trouble, audio trouble when we first opened up. Dana and I have been working together for a long time. We actually were known as the Solstice Sisters, and
Yep.
we do a lot of healing work. I've known Dana for a long time. Completely credible. I love her with all of my heart, and it kind of goes along with what you're saying when you're in my heart. So I'm so happy that you were able to make it today, because unfortunately I missed your presentation
Yeah.
at Parasicon. I was all ready to introduce you and everything, and I was so excited about it. So I'm so happy that you came on. It
Well,
for me.
I love talking about this
It's
because
a cool
it
job.
is so endless. I mean,
Mhm.
it's endless stories. I mean, I know there
Right.
was a gentleman. I'll tell you a couple more cases and I'll move on. But the cases are what really brings it home, though, okay? Because these are
Mhm.
actual people. This isn't like I'm pulling it out of the air. These are verified things. I don't use anything I can't verify. I don't go on the internet and just pick one. I mean, I want to know for sure this is it, because people make stuff up, as you know. Anyway, there was a gentleman that was kind of like a hardcore, like pretty blue collar, swearing, beer drinking, cussing, rock and roll, kind of a jerk person. Okay, he ended
Mhm.
up needing transplant. He got his transplant. He woke up, and his wife didn't know what to do with him because suddenly all he wanted to listen to was classical music. Unfortunately for him, he had been somewhat uh, prejudiced against certain factions of people. Did I say that politically correct enough for everybody?
You did a very good job.
Thank you. And that switched also, where he was like not doing or saying the things he normally would. And his wife was like, "Thank God. What happened? Thank God." And she's like, "Who are you?" And he's like, "What do you mean? What are you talking about? Blah, blah, blah." But this classical music thing was like, she'd get in the car. It was on in the car. And she's like, she went to the doctor. She said, "I don't know what's going on here. Did he like lose oxygen?" Which was the funniest line to me of this whole story. But anyway, and the doctor was like, "No." So anyway, as it turns out, he received, I believe it was another heart. So these a lot of these stories are heart transplant people, but not only hearts. This is happening across the board, which is what I'll talk about next. But he received the heart of a young man that was leaving his music lesson. He was a classic violinist. I think he was only like 17 years old. Young African American man, black man, left his music teacher's house and was shot and killed in a drive-by shooting. That's whose organ he received. And when he woke up, that's who was speaking through him in a way. And that to me is absolutely miraculous. So that man's entire view changed on many things: music, people. He just, and forgive me to out there who won't agree with this, but he became a better human being from
I
having
agree.
a bad organ to get a good heart in there, literally, figuratively and literally, a good heart put in, and it changed his entire life. That's
So
God talking there. I don't care what anybody says.
so Jenny and our friend
Yes.
Washington, I'll take a piece of a funny genius who eats healthy and enjoys exercise. Kidding, of course. I'm like, I I too.
I'm about that.
Amy asks if you get a hand or arm of a killer, I don't think it would make you kill, but might there be that temptation if we all got a piece
um,
like
a lot
Dexter?
of the stuff that I get, like those stories I told you are like the positive stories. There's actually other stuff that happens with people. There was a one particular person that I think again it was a heart or lung, some kind of major organ. I can't remember which one it was. Doesn't really matter at the end of the day, but they had nightmares, like terrifying nightmares, and they couldn't really put together what was going on, but it always ended with this bright flash, like flash in their face, and that's how they woke up. They found out later on that their organ came from a police officer that had been shot in the face. So
Oh,
sometimes these things aren't like super positive. It's all miraculous in its own way, but I can't imagine, the chances of you getting a hand transplant or an arm transplant. I don't even know if they do arms. I don't, well, they might. I don't think so, though. I don't think so. I mean, I don't know for sure.
mhm.
Anything is possible. I just haven't read any documentation on like a transplant like that, so I can't really answer that. I wouldn't be surprised, but I don't think that I don't know if you'd actually commit murder because remember you're
Like, you're
then
still
again
you, right?
there was
So
another person that received an organ from a person that uh, was a suicide victim, but they were still technically alive when they got them, obviously, or they couldn't take the organ, but and they ended up killing themselves in the same fashion on the same day as their donor did without knowing that. So it's not all, all pretty positive. A lot of it is. A lot of it's really simple, tiny little things that happen. There's a whole gamut, and we don't know why yet. They don't know why yet. They don't know why this phenomenon is happening. But there's cases where there's absolutely no way these people could know who their donor was, and they exhibit things of their donor. So being a murderer, who knows?
So,
Yeah.
organ transplants are long wait list, hard to get. Like Kathy, you and I have a mutual friend whose son was on a wait list forever and
Mm-hmm.
miraculously, you know. Um, but now I'm thinking, hearing some of these not so nice stories, it's like, so
Mm-hmm.
you take something that's hard to get anyway, and then if we have to put a questionnaire to inquire about the donor's life in history before you take that energy and put it into, like, is there a way to clear it quick? Because those organs, like, you got to move quick or they start deteriorating.
Right.
It's
Right.
viable, but
I think that the medical community would never go that route with it at this
true.
time. But you have to remember in the time, I mean, I've been looking at this and talking about it for several years. This isn't like just Dana just picked it out 2 years ago. I've been thinking about this for a long time because I think it's really fascinating. Maybe at some point in time, if they can actually prove that connection, because some people get transplants and have absolutely nothing happen like this. Probably the majority of people don't. But there's
Okay.
still a population that does, and a population that has life changing. Your walk changes. I know a lady that lives in a town next to me that had a transplant, and she has a different laugh. The laugh she had when she went to sleep before that surgery is not the laugh she has now.
Hmm.
Well, it's interesting hearing you say that, Dana, and I know I've talked to you about this before. There was a book that I read by Dean Koontz,
Mm.
and it was about an eye transplant. And
Yes,
ever
there's
since I read that book, I'm like, I'm not a donor. I can't do it. I can't
well
donate any of my organs, and that's a horrible thing because I could help somebody, but it freaks me out.
they also made a movie with Jessica Alba. I don't think it was after that book, but it's about her getting an eye transplant and having seeing a murder or something like that. And there are cases where people, I mean, there's so many of the cases out there that I could go into, but I don't want to take up all the time talking about all of them. Um, but
It's good
with the
because
good
then
you're
we
going
can
to
help
have
the bad.
bad, and that's life. There's good and there's bad and everything. Now if somebody died really traumatically, like was murdered, like that police officer was murdered, so the last thing he saw was that flash. Okay, there's a part of him that's still alive, or the memory of that is still alive in somebody else that is seeing that end state for him, which is traumatizing, yes, but at the same time, you are a living history of somebody else who can't talk anymore, who can't show what he saw the last time he remembers seeing something. I mean, that's a pretty important thing, too. There's so many different avenues with this stuff. Um, Again, I do feel it's really important to be an organ donor. I can no longer be one because I've had 7 or 8 blood transfusions, and I have bad kidneys and an injured liver, and I can't donate those things. I don't think they can take anything from they might be able to take my heart, but I'm not positive on that. But the new path that I've been going down, and like I said, this every year there's something new that comes out about this stuff. I would like to do, and I'm trying to find if they've done one, and I don't think they've done a study yet. And I'm talking the medical community as well as people that research this. I haven't seen this yet. Now that might be in the works. I just don't know it. But I wonder if some of this is happening with people that have living donors. So, like, you can get a kidney transplant from somebody that's still alive, that continues to be alive because they give you a kidney, right? You can also get a liver transplant from a living donor, where they take a part of the liver out, put it into you, and that liver will grow from your liver, from your diseased liver. It'll grow healthy tissue. Okay.
Mhm.
Or I somehow works out. I don't know. But I wonder if they're not picking, are there cases of people with living donors where you could have the living donor and the recipient right next to each other saying, I was a random kidney match for this person, and I am a professional guitar player. And this person's like, hey, since I woke up from my kidney transplant, all I want to listen to is guitar music. Wouldn't that be interesting? Where you
That
have
would be
two
really
alive
cool to
people
research.
saying, hey, I think that might be what needs to happen. And it would take years to establish that. But I still think that would help that would help the case of the people that don't that have it from a person that is deceased.
I think
Say, hey,
that,
it's happening. It's happening because it happened to me, and here's my donor.
yeah, I
Explain what
think
you
that
do.
study would be long in coming, like you said, but also a little more hard to do in a way because a lot of people, if there is a living donor, it's usually a family member or dear friend that will step right up, be like, I'm a match, I can do it. So then,
Usually, but not always. Because a
right.
lot of the time there is and I think the same rules apply. Like, let's say you're a match for somebody, that doesn't mean that the person that's giving you a kidney wants you to know who they are. They're really weird about that, like the HIPAA laws and all that other stuff. I don't know,
Because as you
but
were
I
saying,
still think it would be interesting.
yeah, because as you were saying that, I just had a conversation last weekend or so with a colleague who may be having to have a transplant, and they are lucky enough that the spouse is a match. And I'm like, oh,
Ooh.
I could maybe put you in touch if they have to go through with this. But then my immediate thought was on the other side of that, of like, they know one another really well, their spouses. So even if the recipient would be like, suddenly I like doing this, would that be more of a subconscious because
Very
that's
much
what
so,
they're
and
doing?
that's where it would be hard. But I'm talking more of the people that,
The anonymous donors.
yeah, or
Yeah.
just people that, oh, your donor is a male from California. Okay, you know,
Hmm.
that sort of thing. Um, the other thing is, everybody concentrates on, this is the other avenue I'm looking at too, besides that study thing, which is a very valid thing with a husband and wife. That's interesting to me. But and you're right. I would think it would be subconsciously like, I used to hate, Miller Lite. Now I drink or whatever it might be. I used to hate red wine. Now I'm drinking it. And it's like, well, that's because you knew he drank. You know what I mean? I
Yeah.
get that. Yeah. But
I would side eye and squint at it, like,
like,
really?
yeah, yeah. Yeah, I get it. Um, but there's also, everybody thinks of the major organs like heart, liver, lungs, eyes, Kathy. Um, the big organs that you hear about mostly, but you have to remember transplant extends to things like Kathy said, eyes, skin. There even have cases of this happening with people with blood transfusions. Now,
Really?
I've had 7 or 8. I think I've had 8 blood transfusions from when I was really sick. I don't think I've had anything. I'm still as weird as I was before I had blood transfusion. So I don't know what cases. I have not found those cases. I read it in a different article about something else where they're starting to study it. And it's probably, unfortunately, in a different country, which a lot of these studies are happening too. But I happen to live in a state that is the beat, literally, of heart transplant, which is Wisconsin, and the UW Wisconsin hospital and clinics are the leaders in a lot of the transplants in the country. So I have friends that work in the transplant clinic, which will bring me to one more story for you if you have time for it.
Sure. And then there's a couple questions,
Oh, yeah.
comments
Why don't we
about
do the
the
questions
organ.
first?
Okay. So Jenny asks, does the organ matter in the case of someone who never smokes suddenly wanting a Marlboro Red? Would it necessarily be the lung transplant, or can it be any organ?
Any organ. And in fact, that happened to a friend of mine. That story, I know, Jenny. I have a
Okay.
guy that I used to work with that had a pancreatic transplant due to severe diabetes, and woke up wanting a Marlboro Red. He never smoked. That's what he knew in the box. He knew.
He
He
would
found
want it.
out quite a few years later that from the donor family that indeed is what. Yeah, there were a few other things too, but yeah.
Uh, and Melanie
Real
asks,
quick, real quick. I love you, Jenny.
and then,
Bladder transplant,
yeah.
probably. I know. I don't really think it matters what organ or what part is what they're starting to realize, which is why I'm saying it doesn't have to be the heart or the lung or whatever. It could be blood, it could be skin, it could be all kinds of stuff. um Bladder would be the same thing. It's coming from somebody else, it's coming from their brain. You have part of them in your body. So if there's any memory to organs or any other part of us, that would that would be the same thing. It's the same thing. It doesn't have to be like the heart or lungs. It's other organs and stuff as well. That's what I'm reading about now, but it is showing up that it's
Hmm.
I haven't run into, I mean, a blood transfusion, that surprised me that they were finding some of those cases because I don't know how they track who gave blood, but I don't know if it was in this country either. Like, I don't,
Yeah.
other countries do things different. So, I don't know for sure on that. But sure is interesting. Again, you're a living history of somebody else. It doesn't mean that person is haunting. I used to think of it as, oh, it's a haunted organ. No, it's not really haunted, though. It's a
Mhm.
memory of a person that's deceased that's still alive. So you are a living version remembering something that person experienced, like an oracle, if you will. That's a pretty big term to use, but you guys understand what I'm saying. Your
Yep, sure.
testament, you're a testament to them. That's important for families too, I think, as
See,
long
then I
as they're
have,
accepting of it.
like, if you were doing a reading for somebody who had a
Hmm.
transplant, can you get information from the person the transplant came from? So you're
Yes.
sitting there, I don't know if it's for you or the transplant person. It's
If I don't know they're a transplant person, I might pick that up as spirit, but I would be confused by it. But
hmm.
I've had that happen.
Oh, interesting.
Ooh, tell the story, please.
Yes. And
Twice.
I'm like, ooh, there's a
I have
whole
to
other
I have to
topic.
phrase it carefully because there's people that I know that um there was a gentleman that came in, and I don't, usually men don't frequent, especially older men don't frequent psychic mediums all that often. I didn't know anything about this man. I He came to me through a friend of mine. That's the best way for me to put that right now because I try to be really confidential with people's readings. But and I kept getting this lady, and I'm like, there's this woman here, and I'm confused because she's not really identifying herself to me, and I keep asking her if she's related, and she's saying not really. She kept saying not really, not really, blah 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 blah, and I was extraordinarily confused by this whole thing. And he had like little tears in his eyes. I said, "Do you know who she is?" And he goes, I have an idea. I think I might know who it is. And I said, I'm supposed to tell you that it's okay that you have it. That was her message. I don't know what that means.
That's
And
so
he
sweet.
and he
That
he
is
goes, "Do you
sweet.
want to know who this is?" And I said, "Well, I kind of do because I don't, I go, does the message make sense?" And he said, "Yes." And he unbuttoned his shirt and showed me his scar. He's like, "I had a heart transplant, and that's my donor." And he didn't know her. He just knew it was a woman, and he was having issues conceptualizing this whole thing. And she was confirming to him, and it was okay that he had it, her heart.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
It is. Was he kind of
That,
sensing her around, and maybe that's
I
what
don't
brought
think
him
he was
to you?
sensing her because, but he knew immediately
Who it was?
because I was just like, I don't know why she's here. Is this like a drive-by person? I always call them drive-bys. Like they're not really belonging to the reading. They just pop in and pop out.
Mhm.
I get all kinds of weird stuff happen sometimes. But I'm like, she's stuck there, and I I have to, and I say it like I see it. I'm not going to embellish anything because that's not right. I said, I'm sorry, I don't know. I don't know who she is. She's not telling me anything. And then she said, tell him it's okay that he has it. And so I said that. It was like,
Aw.
"Oh, okay, that's pretty crazy." And there was another one, but that person has since passed, and I'd rather not tell that story just because I might cry.
Well, what about some of the other stories that you have? Didn't you say you had another one that you wanted to share?
Yeah, this one's really
All
interesting
right.
because this is involving. I have a client. Actually, four of the five in the family are my clients. Um, they're from Wisconsin, and I've known them a very long time. Um, and Keith, who is the main actor in this particular story, um, last year, or he just hit a year with his new liver. He was diagnosed with a form of liver cancer. I have permission to tell this story, by the way, because I played his video at Ohio of him talking about this experience. Um, he was diagnosed with a form of liver cancer. I think it's 1 in 10 survive, or
Mhm.
it's like the odds of surviving it are pretty much none. It's pretty small. Long story short, he needed to transplant his daughter, who is also a client of mine, Sam, happened to be working at UW Madison Transplant Clinic. She's now a doctor. She's in medical school in Michigan now, but at this time she was working at the transplant clinic for the doctors that specialize in these transplants. Number one, is that coincidence? Not really to me. People could take it as they want. Long story short, goes through this whole thing, has some roadblocks that drop down in front of him, thinking he's not going to get this transplant. He's just got to accept that he's going to pass from this. Ends up getting a transplant. Very cool thing. Um, but here's the weird part. So Samantha left the transplant clinic to go to med school in Michigan. And she had looked through, I think that they knew that this lady was from the Midwest, maybe. But I think when you get, if they find a match for you, it comes from anywhere. So out of the pretty much the whole US, or at least like a central portion, because I don't know how that works with like getting the organ to the person. So it's within a large area though, okay? I think it might be all of the US. Long story short, he gets this liver, blah 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 blah. Doesn't have any organ transplant memory, by the way. This is a different take on this whole thing though. Um Samantha finds out who she's pretty sure she knows who the donor is because she went through I think they had a description of something. Anyway, I don't remember what it was. She didn't do it through medical stuff. She did it through newspapers because it was all obituary stuff. Well, the here's the weird part. So this gal that he got his liver from was in an accident, which is why she died. Um, was from where he like 10 mile where he grew up, which is also in Michigan. She grew up like 10 miles down the road from where he did. So their high schools and he would have known, like, if he went to his hometown right now and said her name, people would know who she was immediately. That's how small these towns are, right? He didn't know her because he's older than her. But get this, his mom and dad owned an appliance store, and he's pretty certain that they employed her father. So his mom and dad were her dad's boss, and he ended up with her liver. Out of all those places in the US, he ended up there back home. Isn't that nuts?
That is nuts.
And if
Wow,
you hear
crazy.
him, he tells the story a lot better than I do because there's a lot more to it than that. But I played it at Ohio, and people were just like, that's nuts. So there is a paranormal sort of aspect to that to me. Um, so it's not all, oh, I want to eat ice cream now, which, by the way, another person related to that family had a liver transplant and woke up wanting ice cream nonstop. So I guess that's why I pulled that out as an example. But anyway, crazy, crazy stuff. And there are other parts of that story, but I can't remember them right now. And again, it's better to listen to him tell it because the fact that he's even on the earth right now is absolutely amazing. The fact that his liver came from a hometown girl and his mom and dad employed her father. What are the chances of that? That's craziness to me. And it's so fascinating. The whole thing is fascinating. And by the way, he's doing very well. He's had it for over a year. He hasn't had any rejection issues. He's just done remarkably well. So
That's it. That's awesome.
a nice family, just a great family too. So yeah, it's a great story. So there's like other stuff that happens with it too, like some of the people I talked to that work in the transplant area of the hospital, and I'm not talking about Samantha, I'm talking about nursing staff and a doctor. Electrical issues, TVs going on and off after people get out of the transplant. There's all kinds of weird stuff, and when you ask about it, it said we can't talk about that part. So there's definitely something cooking spiritually in conjunction with this physical thing. And it's so important to me that more doctors will look at it in that respect because, they're all very science brained individuals. I hope they can open their minds a little bit because I think if they can get the brain again to accept a more spiritual aspect that might be coming into play here is really important for not only the recipient of these organs, but the families of these people that have passed. Gives you chills. Anyway, I think it's cool. End of story. Does anybody have any questions? No kidding. Obviously, I'm very passionate about this subject because if you hear the actual people speak about it, I mean, I can bark out a story that someone tells me, and that might be interesting, but when you hear the people that are living it, it's like it hits you right in the solar plexus. It just does. It just like it's unbelievable. It's such a miracle that this can even happen, to get an organ and survive something as heinous as a rare liver cancer, or a heart that's almost completely gone on you, and you get a new one put in and you get another 20 some years out of it. I mean, that's
That's amazing.
unbelievable. It
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
So I
I don't
encourage people that don't have reservations to get their sticker. And Kathy, I'm not yelling at you. Your
You
scars
notice my
are life from a book, and you shouldn't have read that book. But you really are giving a huge, huge gift, and that's the other reason why I talk about this stuff. Is I really, because I am a person that might need a transplant in the future,
right.
and I think it's important to realize there are actual human beings looking for these organs. These aren't just something you read on Facebook. So and so needs kidney, so and so needs a heart, so and so needs this or that. It's more than just a face. There are living people walking around right now that don't know they'll need a transplant down the line, that will. And if you're able to give somebody that when you're not going to be there anymore, or you don't need both of your kidneys because you're healthy as a horse. Something to consider.
Yeah, yeah.
Do it. Sign up.
I
No, I'm
think
kidding.
I think
Don't
you
be a
no, I
horse.
really do think you're changing my mind and the way I'm thinking about all of this, because mine's fear based because of the book and everything. But
Right.
I'm a very strong believer that we there's a purpose for all of us.
Right.
And maybe my purpose is to help someone live longer by donating an organ. And who knows, that person may be somebody that knows how to, it ends up curing cancer.
Right. There's
And
several different things too. And the other thing to remember, in us, the three of us, as more spiritually minded people, to me, this is like the meat suit. This doesn't matter. None of this matters. What matters is inside. What matters
I
is the
think,
spirit, the soul of who you are. That's what survives. This does not. No matter what we do to it, no matter how pretty we try to make it goes away.
that's true.
If you can leave something of it that's going to help somebody when you're not using it, that's going to be the last thing you're thinking about. You're going to go
That's
wherever you
true.
want. Yeah.
Yeah. And the other thing is, I am a healer. So, what better way to heal?
Well, that's true. But I'm not
Mhm.
telling people, there's people with different religious
Nope.
convictions, and people that think that I know one of the things I read that was super disturbing was there was a push going on saying that they were causing people, that not giving people enough of a chance to wake up from comas and stuff. If they realized what these doctors put these people through before they will take their organs, you have to be gone. And the narrative that's coming out is that, oh, they're just saying that so they can harvest their, I'm like, no, that's a really dangerous thing to put in print or to say out loud, because if you stood into a room of them doing the procurement on someone, it's not that, and in fact it's very respectfully done. So
Mhm.
yeah, I don't know.
Um,
I encourage everybody to read up on it, though. I mean, even if you go watch, oh, see, that's interesting.
yeah, Amy says I had to get 2 units of blood. I never got sick before, but now I do and allergic to a lot now.
Right. So, I said again, double-edged sword. If that is indeed some sort of memory, I'm not saying it is or not, because I'm not qualified to say that. But I find that interesting, Amy, because I think she's the one that also said, if you get, was she the one that talked about getting a hand or arm transplant from a
Yeah.
murderer? Who knows? We don't know. There's not enough background on it, and there's not enough study done on it yet. But it's an existing thing that they've been talking about for several years. This isn't a new thing. It might be new to a lot of people, or they've heard here and there about it, but
Mhm.
I think it's worthy of further study by our scientific community to tie it in and actually listen to these people that are experiencing these things. So again, with Amy, she's allergic to stuff now that she never was before. You know, who knows? I fortunately, I don't think I've had anything from my transfusions that I had. I mean, I had several units, several times over the course of 2 years. I I'm full of other people's blood. I haven't had I haven't had anything that I've noticed. I'm a
Mhm.
lot healthier, I can tell you that. I
Mhm.
That's good.
survived I've survived this far when they said I wasn't going to without a transplant, and now I don't even qualify to be on the list. Maybe because
I'm
I'm supposed to talk about this. I don't
yeah,
know why I'm still here, but I am. So,
uh, I'm on the list because the way I see it, I don't need this one. I'm done. Just take it. If you can do
right.
something, be it save somebody or donate me to science and help some autoimmune people, whatever, take it. Um,
It's hard to
and I
think about not being in here though, because we're so used to being in here.
yeah, the more healer training, spiritual training, I've been doing it. I kind of stepped back, and I don't know if anybody has seen the Robin Hood Men in Tights with Carrie Elwes, and there's that scene where he's
Yes.
just, I kind of have that now when I overthink or think over like things, and I'm like, it's not even really worth worrying about, and it's just like, it's like do what you got to do here because at the end it doesn't really matter, you know.
Right.
Um,
It's so funny. I have actually seen you do that several times. That exact thing you did.
yeah. Especially if somebody's coming up behind me at the store and there's a question or a customer, I'll before you turn around and be like, "What? Okay." Um, but there was an instance where I had to have a surgery and I had to sign a release on if I was okay of potentially getting a cadaver tendon in my hand. And there was a part of me knowing that this happens sometimes. I was like, "Ooh, I wouldn't
I
mind waking
know.
up with a part of George or Larry or, Samantha and be
Yeah.
like, will I hear them? Does that give me a connection to them and what maybe they needed to heal? Because healing goes
Right.
time and place. It's all happening now. And then when I'm like, oh, that's just mine. Okay. You know? Like,
There's,
And
and that's
interesting
another
way to
thing
look
that could be
at
studied is people with mediumship, psychic ability, whatever you want to say. I guess mediumship, well, whatever. That that would be an interesting thing too. If you were a recipient of an organ or a tendon or whatever it might be,
mhm. Yeah, I had
are
my
you
own little
communicating?
science kind of thinking about, I'm like, ooh, what could I just learn and maybe use that in helping other people? But, when I woke up out of anesthesia, they're like, no, it's all you. And I'm like, yay,
No.
wah
What
wah.
about those people that get like a pig parts? you know, are you like having this image of you rooting through a trough?
Right. I'm like, I'm not so excited for that one. Give me, give
I'm
me Joe
craving
Schmo
truffles right now. I don't know why.
and I hate
Um,
that, so suddenly I like them.
yeah.
But,
But there's again, I told Kathy, there's so many different routes with this subject. It just goes on and on. There's so many rabbit holes you can go down because it's massive. It really is a massive thing. And I really think it, even though it's not a huge percentage of those people that are experiencing it, there's enough of them that there's something going on there.
mhm,
Something's happening. Can't blame it all on anti-rejection drugs and PTSD. You know,
right.
That's
chicken
right.
nuggets, like I said, at least 6 or 7 cases I read, they woke up wanting chicken nuggets. I'm like, number one, I'll eat a chicken nugget now. I don't need a transplant to want a chicken nugget. Is that why people, you know, I never ate chicken nuggets before my transplant. You did too. But,
Right.
I don't know why that's a thing, but it shows up a lot and it kind of makes me laugh. I thought, oof,
Now you
well,
you mentioned a couple of like the rejection and everything else, do you have people, or have you read up on people having like survivor's guilt? Like, I'm only here because that person died.
Yes, I would say, well, Keith talked about that in the video I have of him, um,
Okay.
that I played for people, because I think that's an important part of it too. He sleeps with a picture of her next to his bed
Hmm.
to thank her for,
Mm-hmm.
because they did end up contacting the family earlier than most people do. The family allowed that to happen. Um, he didn't obviously share her name or any details, and I don't want to know that. What's important is her kids, because she was a younger woman. She's younger than Keith. Um, they know that he has their mom's liver and that he's alive because of their mom. So I love me some Chick-fil-A grills. Sorry, I have to laugh at the chicken nugget comment.
Yeah, that's why I put it
Um,
up there. We were just talking about
but
that.
it's important to know that it is part of that, and they actually do. I think they do a psych test on you before you have the. Because I know my ex-husband went through them before they do the transplant, um, to see where you're at with it. Like somebody is dying. Not unless you have a living donor, somebody's dead, and you have something of theirs that's keeping you alive. Most people are going to have some guilt about that, I would think, at some juncture of that. You know, Once they work through it and realize, their death wasn't their fault,
Right.
then I think maybe that helps them move along a little bit. But there's still and like with Keith, like he described, that's his thing is has her picture there in a frame so he can thank her because every day he wakes up is a miracle because of her.
Well, that's beautiful. I
Hmm.
mean, that's really nice. So respectful. Um, yeah, I like that.
Yeah, I get teary
And I'm
because I
really
think,
glad that the
well,
medical field does talk prior and do the testing or whatever. They
yeah,
talk with people prior rather than just jumping in and doing it
they have to
because
go through. You have to go. I had to go through stuff just to get. I was processed through intake twice. That's a huge process to go through intake just to get on a list before you're even put on a list. You have to go through all kinds of stuff, and I went through it twice. And that's one of the things they talk about. That they have the psychiatrist come in, or a, I don't know, shrink of some description comes in, and I don't know what questions. I don't remember that part. I think I blocked out a lot of that part of my life. It's a long 2 years. Um, but that's a responsible way to do it too, though, because you are taking. I think that's, for one thing, when you hear you need a transplant of any description, or you're going to die, that does something to you. I can vouch for that. You change after you realize where you're at.
Hmm.
And as much as you want that done, it's terrifying to think about having your heart taken out and put back in, or your liver taken out and put somebody else's. The thought of that surgery is mind blowing. So yeah, there's a lot of psych that goes with it. So that's why they do it, I'm sure. I mean, I can't. I'm not an organ transplant coordinator, but I'm sure that one would attest to that. That is a big part of it
Hmm.
because it is something you have to deal with. You after transplant too, you're on drugs for the rest of your life. You're on anti-rejection drugs forever after your transplant. That doesn't go away.
hmm,
It keeps you
It,
alive, but there's probably side effects to those as well because they're in pretty big amounts and you have to stay on them. But at the same time, you're also watching children be born and you're experiencing trips and you have another Christmas or 10 with your family, and
yeah, I
it's a
like how you're.
trade-off.
I like that there is the psych part, because I would also think
Mhm.
too, depending in that evaluation, it gives the care team info about you as the recipient,
Yes.
of like how to treat you later. Like you might be more prone to the survivor's guilt. You might be more prone to this. So
Exactly.
to know that
Exactly.
going forward and to have that ready for you. I do like that.
And I think, if you learn those, I it's very emotional for these people when they talk about it. Um, there's a lot of tears that come into play with people that have had had what I'm talking about, as well as like Keith, with that whole situation.
Mhm.
Um, that's that's their process. They cry. Your emotional state is changed after you get a transplant, because that's a lot to take. That's a lot to take on, physically, emotionally, um, mentally, in general. uh,
Mhm.
there's a lot that goes with it. It's not just, oh, cool, you got a new kidney and off we go. That's not quite the way it works for people that have actually gotten a new kidney or a new heart, or whatever it was, whatever you needed. Um, the fact that they can even do surgery like this is astounding to me.
Yay for medical advancement. I'm all for it.
Yay for science. Never
Too.
thought I'd hear me saying that. I didn't like science in school, and scientists irritate me sometimes. But at the same time, I think it's super necessary.
Hmm.
Like, I think I've said to Kathy more than one time, I have two people I check in with when I get, like, this has nothing to do with transplant, but sort of. It's like, if I see an earthquake or I know earthquake's coming somewhere, I have two people I check in with. One's a skeptic, one's not. That keeps me in check. That's what science does for us. It keeps
Mhm.
us in check, right? Because you have to have a skeptic and you have to have a believer in order for this to work.
Yeah.
Hmm. That's true.
So
Well,
here we
we are a little over 11, and I know Kathy, I know OSR is usually beating down your door a little
Yeah,
after
I'm
11.
actually here right now. I just decided to come in early and sit in my office.
just blame it
Okay.
on me.
So, Dana, if any of
Yes.
our friends who have been with us through the discussion, if they would like to get in contact with you to either relay stories of them and their family members, maybe on
Hmm.
transplants, or because you have mentioned that you are a psychic medium, like how
I
would they contact
am.
you?
I don't. I'm very bad at self promotion. I'm the first one to admit it. I do not have a website. Somebody's trying to help me get one. I've never had one for my professional thing, but they can reach me at my email address, which is hauntedspiritgirl@yahoo.com. That's about 27 years old, that handle, and I haven't changed it. Um, I think they can reach me through the Solstice Sisters site as well.
Okay.
And that's Soulstice sisters, as in the summer solstice type. Um, I think there's a different link on there too that they can reach me there. Um, I'm on Facebook quite actively, and they can send me a message through Messenger, which will get to me whether or not we're friends. I'd rather not be friends with people that I'm about to read until well after the fact, because I don't want people saying, well, you got all my information off Facebook. No, I didn't. I don't have time to look at Facebook for that. But my last name is Stricker, which is Strickeer. My first name is Dana. And all of my events are also listed on there, places where I'm coming. I'm going to be in Michigan a lot coming up here, and a couple other places. So they can reach me
Oh,
there
fun.
also.
I chuckled when you said your email because I was expecting something to do with organs. And then I'm
Nope.
like, completely
No.
different. I love that.
I
You know,
talk
if
a lot. Like I said, I do so. Being a psychic medium is what I do and who I am, but that's not all I do. I like to talk about different weird things, and I'm branching now that I'm getting old. I think I'm branching off into that a little bit. I've got more time to look at stuff and think about stuff, and this one's particularly close to my heart because of almost being a recipient not too long ago, and I might
well,
in the future need one.
well,
So who
hopefully.
knows?
we can
But
have you back and we can keep going on this topic because you mentioned before we
fine with
went
me.
that there's different tracks that you're
There's
like,
so many tracks. And I can guarantee you, anybody out there that's listening, if even if you go just to the stories of this and you start listening, some of them are like people talking about it like on a video, and there's other ones you just read. It doesn't matter which one it is. You're going, what? For real?
Mhm.
yeah. Well,
Yeah,
thanks
it
for
would be nice to have her back, Melissa. But she also is involved with UFO stuff too. Like
I
you're a member
am.
of movement and
what are
everything.
you doing
Yeah,
next
very
Wednesday?
active in it.
I'm going to be at two different UFO things. I have Ascension Con coming up next month in Michigan. That's the first year for that. And I'm doing a gallery there under the stars. That's what they say. And then
Sounds
I'm
like
at the
I love
Michigan
it.
UFO Contact event, which is in September, which is a big UFO thing. It has people from MUFON there, the Mutual UFO Network, some some amazing speakers a lot of people never heard of because they don't really do a circuit like we do a circuit. They see the same people. These are people that are experiencers, so people that have been abducted. They come from all different walks of life, uh, from the whitest white collar you can imagine to the bluest blue collar you can imagine, and everybody in between have had abduction experiences. So there's some of that going on. There's also researchers from some pretty highfalutin places, and it's a Ascension Con has that as well, but it's a double hitter. Yeah. If you live in Michigan, check out one of them because it's going to be awesome at both.
well, no
So,
pressure, Dana, but if you're free next Wednesday, we'd love to have you. Only because I
am
haven't gotten
I
confirmation.
free next Wednesday? I will look right. If you're serious, I'll look.
Oh, I am because I have emails that are pending, and I'm like, well, now you got to pick back here because we already have Miss Dana.
I am actually if it's at the same time because I
Yep.
don't
Yep,
work
same
until
time.
4:30 that day. So,
Well, we'll
and
see
I'll
you
see
next
you next
Wednesday with
week.
some fun.
Yeah. All right.
You
Not so
just
much on the Bigfoot stuff yet, so don't ask me much about that. I can do UFO.
oh, we can ask you about how the government's been releasing all of these UFO files. Like the last thing I
Oh, have you guys seen the movie Disclosure? Kathy, I know you did.
Yes, I loved it.
We can talk a little
Oh,
bit
know,
that
about
was a
that
great
too.
movie.
but I will
My
say I
friend,
just recently watched Project Hail Mary on Prime.
oh, I
I
love that
love it.
movie.
It's
I love
great. Go watch it. I want a Rocky.
I
Um,
want
Yeah,
to
me
rock you
too.
too.
yeah, amaze, amaze, amaze.
That
Um,
was a great movie.
yeah.
I
Hmm.
like that. But
It,
Disclosure,
now I'm gonna have to find Disclosure
I've
and
got
watch
some
it.
It
comments about
looks
Disclosure.
so real.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just like, yeah, I could see all that happening.
Yep.
Where did you guys watch it?
Mhm.
Where did
I
you watch
went to a theater actually. I went to an actual
it?
movie theater, which I haven't been to in years. For Jenny's birthday, we went and watched Disclosure. We went to the fancy theater with the recliners and they served food.
Ooh, I need to go to the movies with
I
you.
watched.
Yeah, it was great.
I watched. I watched it at home. We purchased it to what rent and watched it at home.
Well worth it.
I
Yes.
But
am
you're gonna get mad in parts of it. There's some stuff in there. Yeah.
Hmm.
so Disclosure is what is the one that came out
Disclosure
most
Day, I think, is the actual title of the
Disclosure
movie.
Day.
Yeah.
Okay.
Disclosure Day.
Yep. Emily
Okay.
Blunt is fantastic in it, by the way.
Mhm. Who was?
Emily Blunt, the
Oh
lead
yes,
female,
she was. Oh
really
my
good.
gosh, excellent.
She
Yeah.
was. She
Ooh,
needs a.
I'm
I
getting
think she might get
chills.
up for an award for that one. She was really
Hmm.
good, especially when she did the
Yes.
"If you know, you know."
And you
Okay.
did that very well too,
Oh,
Dana.
thank you. They love me. They really love me.
So it looks like
Dana's alien clicking.
it's only still in theaters. So if you guys want to go watch, go find
How
a
did I
theater.
get to watch it?
Well,
You might
for
have a
like
pay-per-view thing.
it might be. I know certain movies, depending, like if this was owned, if the production company was owned by Disney, maybe Disney would like let you rent it on this type thing.
Yep.
Yep.
That's what it was
Right.
because I think it was Disney. Yep.
So,
Mhm.
right now, still in theaters. Maybe if Disney is still offering it on the app, maybe you can rent it that way.
Mhm.
The other movie, so we have Disclosure Day, and then the other one,
Project Hillberry.
Project. Yes, and I'm like brain fog that quick. Wow.
I love
Um,
that movie. Ugh.
it's on Amazon Prime. It was in the
Mhm.
theaters. I don't know how well it did because it seemed like it was in theaters than not. But I know people are loving it since it's on Amazon Prime. Like my
I
Facebook
love Ryan Gosling in anything he does, but this movie was I loved that movie. And
and
I
I
don't
like the
say that
subtle
about many
humor.
movies.
I did enjoy that subtle humor that was thrown in there here and there.
Yes,
It's a good movie, guys.
it
Because
is
at
a
first,
really
like,
good one. Yeah.
whatever. We've
I
all seen
liked his
Stellar.
dance moves.
Yeah.
Yeah. I loved Rocky. I want a Rocky too.
I know. While it was on, I had my glasses off, but I was crocheting, but the TV was big enough that I could generally see what was going on. And I looked, I'm like, holy shit, is that a spider? And I'm like, oh, glasses on. I'm like, it's a rock spider.
It's a rock spider. That makes it a little bit better because he's not squishy.
Right. Especially given the size that it is. I rather it be
Yes.
a rock than hairy.
And he
In
was sweet.
Yeah. I don't know. I like the rock. Because there's
Yeah.
also
Now I
no
want to
pain.
watch it again.
Yeah. But I'm glad you can join us next week.
Yeah.
Me
I will
too.
join you next week and get you all tuned in to what I've experienced anyway,
Please do.
and my
Please do.
father.
Yes.
I have
I
such a
can't wait.
weird history. I have a weird history.
The
You know
one,
what?
Anyway, good thing Ohio likes me.
the thing that comes when you say weird history, what comes to mind is the flock of crows when you
Oh,
were a
yeah.
kid.
Yeah.
We'll go another story for another time.
That is another story for
He
another
has great
time.
stories.
Yeah. Well,
And it
thanks for
all
joining.
happened.
Well,
Much
thanks
as
for
I
joining, everybody.
yes.
Um, I know I've got to get really because during our live, one of the employees was like, "I'm running late," and I'm like, "Of course you are. It's always on a Wednesday." So we will see everybody next week, 10 a.m.
Okay. I've got you
Eastern.
on my calendar. So Kathy, I will talk to you live then, and I will talk to you
Okay.
again live, Melissa. All right.
All
Yeah.
right. Thanks,
Stay
Dana.
safe.
Thank you guys for having me. I
Same here.
appreciate it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Bye,
Bye
everyone.
bye.
Good week, everybody.